bringing you the latest news from Liberty Athletics. This is the Patriot Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back in. This is the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score on a Monday night. We're going to jump into the Patriot Fan Zone, but before we do, I want to run through the football schedule for this week before I run out of time. Thursday night at Lowry Field, Abilene High takes on Coronado. Mustangs are still looking for their first win. Just need to find something because it's gotten a little rough for the Mustangs the last couple of weeks. That is 7 p.m. at Lowry Field. That will be on 96.9 The Bull. I'm not sure who will have the call on that because they keep switching things on me. David Thetford called the Monterey game somebody else's game. He called, I guess he was supposed to call that. David Thetford's a man of all seasons, and he shows up on Saturdays really early and does his show with Gary Ashby. I hope when I'm that age I can get up and do stuff like that. We're not getting close to him yet, Joe. We're safe. So
That's good.
David Thetford's an old man. Sorry, David. Friday night, Friendship opens up District 2 6A play, goes down to Midland High. That is on Double T 97.3 FM. That's going to be an interesting district as always. I believe Permian is the only team with a winning record as they open district play. Friendship's 2-3, but a very deceiving 2-3. So we'll see what the Tigers do to get things started. Over at Lowry Field in District 2 5A Division 1, the battle for the Silver Spurs 2025, Monterey and Lubbock High, 7 p.m. I believe that will be down the radio dial with Rob Bro on the call. I'll have to double check on that. In District 2 5A Division 2, Lubbock Cooper hits the road for Shotwell Stadium to take on Abilene Cooper at 7 p.m. That's right here on 100.7 The Score. Plainview is also in action in District 2 5A Division 2. They had the week off. They play at Wichita Falls Legacy. In District 5 4A Division 2, that's very near and dear to Joe Sexton's heart. Liberty goes another place that's very near and dear to Joe Sexton's heart. They make the long trip to Perryton for a 7 p.m. kickoff. That's on 93.1 Young Country. Estacado goes a little bit shorter trip. They go to Levelland for a 7 p.m. kickoff down the radio dial with Nick Long on the call. In TAPS play, they are all in. Everybody starts district play this week. Fort Worth Christian will host Trinity Christian. I'm not sure what the name. I saw the name of the field, but I know that's actually in North Richland Hills. Lubbock Christian goes to Lake Country in the Fort Worth area. The Eagles won a thriller against Prosper Richland last week, 36-33. They get district started. Kingdom Prep is supposed to host Amarillo Holy Cross at Warwick Memorial Stadium at 7:30 Friday. I think that game is up in the air right now. Amarillo Holy Cross may or may not have a team by Friday. But that is the schedule for this week. I mentioned Joe Sexton. I mentioned the Liberty Patriots. If you're watching on TV, that's the distinguished-looking gentleman 6 feet away from me.
I feel bad that I didn't wear my Chiefs gear. I see a lot of Chiefs gear over there.
I've got plenty to give you, and my stuff will actually come closer to fit you than it used to. You could probably wrap it around you 3 times a couple of years ago. Let's just get this out of the way. Where's the pregame meal in Perryton on Friday?
Well, we're going to stop at Amarillo, actually, on the way up and have lunch in Amarillo and get off the bus, kind of stretch out a little bit.
You know what I'm after.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that Dixie Dog will be.
There we go.
I don't think they stay open late enough for us to.
Well, what about if Joe Sexton or Dwayne Sexton calls and say, "Hey, we're coming"?
I think they probably go, "Who?" Yeah, I don't see that happening.
You need to tell young Brennan if he ever goes up there with Olton, you need to give him that recommendation.
Yeah, once you go there and have a burger, it's hard to beat for sure.
Well, you guys have more pressing issues.
We do.
Mainly because it's your district opener. And in that small district, you get 4 shots, and that's a little tricky sometimes.
Right.
You're coming off of your first loss, 34-14. I was there last week, and I was only teasing when I asked you if you only watched the second half of that, because the second half was really good competitive football.
Right.
First half, you guys ran into some trouble, and Greenwood smelled blood in the water and got you.
Right. That was probably one of the. Well, it is the only game that we just didn't have a fast start, and I really think that Greenwood had a little bit to do with that. They are a really, really good football team and really aggressive on defense, and we had a couple turnovers and gave them a couple of short fields, and they converted. And then when we had the opportunity to get in, I think we had a couple opportunities also in the first half and couldn't get them in. So, those are. I think I was listening, when you were talking to Jason about some of that stuff, and it's just, we've got to be better this week. I don't know if our focus wasn't where it needed to be a couple times, but. Credit to Greenwood. They came out and got after us.
I talked to Barrett Shigerick after the game, one of your big offensive linemen. I think the guy who's pretty much started from day one,
right? He
left tackle. And he basically said that their defensive line, their offensive line, both of them did some things you guys hadn't seen yet. And
right.
Those are kids who grew up wanting to be Greenwood Rangers, so they've been doing that for a while.
And that's by far the best offensive line and defensive line that we've seen up to this point. Most aggressive, and they brought it. And second half, we adjusted to it and kind of made it a ball game there for a little bit. If we would have probably could have used another stop here or there to get the offense going again, but that's how it is sometimes.
You mentioned that you guys got the ball, your first series, I believe, got the ball down to, I think, as close as the 3, and that's where their defensive line kind of made their first statement. Didn't let you in.
Right.
And that changed the tenor of things a little bit. If you guys get it in there, you have a lead right away. Maybe a little bit different for both teams.
You've got kind of two trains of thought there. You could go, okay, you get it down to the 2 or 3 yard line and fourth down, and we've got a great kicker, and you could trot Gonzo out there and kick a field goal and go up 3-0. But against them, you don't get very many opportunities. Right. So I just felt like that we needed to try to punch it in, and if we didn't get it in, I really felt good about pinning them on the goal line. But their quarterback was very good.
And he made one play to kind of flip that around.
Right.
I think it was a first down.
Yes.
He got loose for 23 yards, and all of a sudden that changed things. We're going to talk more about him because you guys may have seen better quarterbacks so far in 6 games. I don't know if you've seen somebody that dynamic in the things that he did. Your defense played fairly well against them, I thought, but he was maybe the difference maker.
Right.
We're coming up on a break. The Patriots, as I mentioned, go up to Perryton Ranger Field, I think is what it calls. That is 7 p.m. Friday. That's the District 5-4A opener. That will be on 93.1 Young Country. We'll be back after this break in the Patriot Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Diving headfirst into Liberty Athletics. You're listening to the Patriot Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back into the Patriot Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. Before I get out of here tonight, just a reminder, we did shuffle the order of things a little bit to start this season. This will go through Thanksgiving, then we'll switch to 2 nights a week. High School Fan Zone, 3 nights a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, starts at 6 p.m. each night. Monday nights, like tonight, are Estacado, Memorial, and Liberty. Tuesdays are Monterey and Coronado. Wednesdays, Lubbock High, Friendship, and Lubbock Cooper. 6 to 6:30 p.m. Fridays on both 100.7 The Score and Double T 97.3. You can listen to the West Texas Friday night preview. And from 9:30 to midnight on those 2 stations is the West Texas Friday night scoreboard show. Archive shows can be found on the High School Fan Zone page at doubletsportsnetwork.com. And make sure you download the 100.7 The Score mobile app to listen live or to listen to podcasts of all 8 High School Fan Zone shows. Joe, I got to listen to a little bit of the Friday night scoreboard show coming home the other night because that game went quick.
Yeah,
because both teams. Now you're going to look at things a little bit different. I didn't think there was a ton of penalties in that game. Maybe there.
No, there really wasn't. I think we had a few, probably in that second quarter when things kind of unraveled for just a little bit. But overall, it wasn't terrible.
And both teams took a long time driving the ball.
Our first drive burned up, pretty much the whole first quarter.
Yes.
As a defensive coach, you love to see that.
Your next 2 drives didn't last as long.
Right. Those were short ones.
The rest of the first half, I think I'd put that in my story, that you had like 14 plays on the first series and I think 10 plays the rest of the half. Right. And that's where they, as you mentioned, they got short field. They took advantage of it, but your defense did not play poorly at all. I want to call up the stats. I know stats aren't the only thing. The stat that matters is the score. But I think they got 200 yards rushing, but it took them some carries. And I want to come back and talk about Lincoln Madrid, who, kind of like Seth Mayberry at Plainview, you look at a lot of times with a high school quarterback, you might see some big hulking kids. The kid at Friendship now that came from Bushland. Colton's a pretty good sized kid, but a lot of times high school quarterbacks don't have to be gigantic. Right. They just have to have a lot of want to.
That offense that they run is absolutely perfect for him.
Yes.
You know, they've got some pretty good offensive linemen who he gets in there and hides behind just a little bit, and sometimes it's hard to see where he is, you know, and then as soon as you start trying to close a gap, he goes someplace where you didn't expect him to go. So
it reminds me of when somebody's got a really small running back, they hide him behind a lineman, and all of a sudden he's doing something, except he's got the ball in his hands all the time.
Right.
You're playing a kid from Perryton, and I assume he goes by Ryan Schilling. He's 6 foot, 170, so he's pretty big compared.
Yeah, he's going to be a lot bigger, and he's a very physical runner. Last year, when we played him at home, he was I think he ran for quite a few yards. So, you know, that's going to be we're going to have to really try to limit how he gets the ball.
And he, right now, going in after 5 games, he leads them in rushing with 424. And let's see how many 6 touchdowns. But he's also thrown for 1,136 yards and 10 touchdowns. So he obviously is the guy that makes them
right.
go.
You know, I think they want to throw the ball just a little bit more than they want to run it. And he's got a great arm, and he has a great receiver to throw the ball to. Number 3 is dangerous. So we're going to have to really pay attention to where he is. They have some great schemes to try to get number 3 the football, and it's going to be a good night to hopefully try to shut all that down.
You talked about this between breaks. I think a big key for your guys is they've been on an upward arc. They've been flying high for 5 weeks. Landed with a little bit of a thud, but you said that they came out same frame of mind, and you may have heard me talking to Jason. You told me that your first year that. And I think he told you when you guys talked that you said week 7's where, and I remember you telling me our guys have figured out that you have to come in and have the same frame of mind after a loss as you do after a win. Is that what you've seen this week?
Yeah, you know, this morning when they came to the facility, Coach Newton and I were out in the back and talking to everybody when they came in, and I didn't see any moping or heads down, and you know, they've rebounded pretty good, and I really was happy with our practice this afternoon.
And while you don't want to lose, when you have had things go your way for so long, there's a lot of lessons to be taken from when you do take a loss.
Right. You know, sometimes it's just good to refocus.
And I imagine the Patriots will do that. Friday night, 7 p.m. at Ranger Field on 93.1 Young Country. We'll be back after this break with one more segment of the Patriot Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Your inside look into Liberty sports. This is the Patriot Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back in to the last segment of the Patriot Fan Zone. I mentioned this last segment. Joe, did you know today is National Coaches Day?
I've heard that.
Which is, I think it's cool. You guys deserve coaches at all levels, and whatever you coach, deserve that. And I've been around coaches a long time. The impact you guys have on young people is immeasurable. I'm going to guess I know one of the answers to this. Who's the first coach that influenced you a bunch?
Probably my brother. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, is just because I got to see him doing it and really had a lot of fun watching him do it. So I just kind of felt like that's what I needed to do. So yeah, I would say him.
I've told you this story. If Dwayne's listening, I hope he gets a kick out of this. For your very first game at New Home, I was walking the sideline because the media setting there was not the best. Let's put it that way. Which I hadn't walked the sideline in a while. It was kind of cool, but I wanted to watch you and Dwayne Tolliver and very new, and I wanted to see kind of what you guys coach like, because I've known you a lot longer than the other guys. And I thought, I bet Dwayne Sexton is very calm and collect here. He's 72, 73 years old, and about 2 plays in, he ripped into an official.
Yeah.
His face was red, and I thought, well, I wasn't right about that.
He can be.
And he was very good about it. He kind of stood behind a couple of tall players and did it so that the referee didn't know who it was.
He's sneaky sometimes. He'll say something and then he's on the move, so
Yep.
you don't really know where it came from. So
Those referees aren't going to get on. He looks, and with all due respect, he looks like a grandpa over there.
Right.
They're not going to get mad at him. How could they?
I think the other night they might have heard from him just a little bit.
Well, he's still got some, I can't say what my grandma used to call it, something in vinegar.
Yeah, no, he's got a lot of fire.
And that's good to see, I will tell you this, watching him too, I saw him the other day, he's enjoying the heck out of coaching with you.
He is, and that was one of the things when we were kind of talking about it, and I said, there's a chance I might get this job, and would you might want to come coach? And he said, I'm gonna have to talk and find it. Yeah, I'll do it. So he's been great. Just getting to be around him every day and just the wisdom that he has. I've been going. This is my 32nd year, and he's been going 50.
Where all has he coached? Because you've told me this list before.
Lasbuddy, Lockney, Levelland, Sudan.
I knew him at Abernathy.
Abernathy, Spur, and New Deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he's made the rounds.
Yeah, he's been around the West Texas area, and 50 years of doing this is it's pretty good, and he's still extremely good at what he does.
You can tell, and you can tell that he connects with high school, and that's not easy to do. You and I joke about being old. Sometimes I've got a high school kid in my house,
right?
And sometimes I'll say something, and she'll look at me like I've got a third eye in the middle of my forehead.
Well, and the other thing that he does so well is, he connects with our young coaches. Our young coaches love him. On Sunday, when we're up working, he'll have a comment about something, and as he's walking through, and then it's just like a drive-by right there. What'd he say? And of course they love him, and he loves being around them and keeping him young.
So National Coaches Day goes back to 1972, and you and I have talked about the bike shorts a time or two.
Right.
So are we still pro or con that you'd like to have the bike shorts come back?
Negative.
I've showed you pictures of my high school
I think
coach.
I'm good without them. I kind of like my, everybody on the staff wears something different. Some people wear, basketball shorts. I wear golf shorts every day. I don't think anybody would enjoy the bike shorts coming back.
Does Dwayne still have some?
Oh, I'm sure he does somewhere.
I don't think I could break them out, and you'd get all kinds of comments from teenagers about.
Oh
them.
yes, yeah. Well, now things are. The shorts have gotten a lot shorter over the last probably 5-10 years, and I don't know. They might like them.
My high school coach was a big Greek fella, and he wore those black bike coaching shorts, and this is in Kansas. When you grew up in Perryton, so the climate's not that much different there. And we'd have games in November where it was 10, 15 degrees, and he'd have those bike shorts on out on the field.
Oh, yeah.
That
was standard dress back then.
Yes, I love the pictures that pop up every once in a while. I bet that Brennan Riker's dad, Bo Riker, may still have a few. Maybe we have some Kelly Green ones down there in ropes.
Oh, I bet he does.
Bobby Davis, at Bobby Davis' funeral, David Thomas mentioned that Bobby Davis still sported those things right up until the very end. And I believe Lewis Kelly did too. And Lewis could fill out some shorts back in his day now.
No, I did my student teaching over at Estacado when Coach Kelly was there, and I remember.
Yep. And no players gave him much grief.
No, he ran the school.
Yes.
No
so
doubt.
we finished up the Patriot Fan Zone there talking a lot about fashion from the 1970s and 80s. But they do have a game. Friday night, 7 p.m. Friday at Perryton on 93.1 Young Country. Join us tomorrow. We'll be back with the Plainsville Fan Zone and the Mustang Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.